fucking iron. Ladysmith, what the fuck? Someone left a baby. Big baby. Go Team Venture.
So hi, welcome to Binge Buddies, first episode of 2025, our new show, Eat It, Harvey. Great name for a show that, if you don't know what we're talking about, I'm not sure if it'll ring a bell for you, but I hope it will.
Is that
We're
Brian?
Is that who?
And Joel.
Huh?
I'm very confused right now.
What just happened?
I don't know, like, for me, Brian and Joel froze up, and Ryan was just sort of smiling and nodding like this.
Are you sure? Well, I'm not sure about Brian, but are you sure I wasn't just sitting still?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, if I froze, that's one thing. Wow, this is now the worst intro we've ever had, and since we can't edit anymore,
Way to go, Matt!
That just is what it is.
Par for the course.
Well, initially I thought it was my internet because I saw Brian and Joel had frozen, potentially, but then I could see that Ryan was nodding. So I was like, well, it can't be my internet because Ryan's still moving.
Well, it could have been me frozen. It could have been your internet. I don't know. It could have just been the StreamYard platform we use. But either way, intro ruined. Let's intro ourselves a little bit more. So the guy who just stepped to the intro. Yeah. Okay, now that was weird. Did anyone else hear that one like way later than Ryan said it?
He's very quiet.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're
you are
super quiet. Okay, that's what's messing with me. Okay. But I heard that water come through nice and clean. This is
my
great.
water bottle sounds like a
great.
dolphin.
What? Do I need to talk closer to the mic? And
A lot closer. Holy crap. Yeah, your mic's not picking you up at all.
huh?
So we're gonna get a nice clean look at the top of Ryan's head most of this episode.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Just
yeah.
Either way, I'm going to try to get our intros done while Ryan works with his microphone, just for the sake of a podcast. Keep going. We have Matt, Zombie Dog, RoboCop, Dykes.
Hey. RoboCop. Now we're on video. People will see it. Unless you're listening, just believe me, I'm pointing at a RoboCop.
There you go. We have Joel, Harry Callahan, DeWitt.
I forget. Has that Die Hard poster been there, Matt, or did you put that there specifically for this?
No, I put that up there specifically.
It's a solid poster. I dig it.
I think it's like the original.
It's a good one.
Poster.
No, I did like the Sonic version that came out earlier this year. Or last year.
Yeah,
I think it was last year now, but that was cool.
Yeah.
Also, possibly with a microphone, possibly without, we have Ryan Axel Foley Lutens.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still there.
Is it still quiet?
You're gonna have
Oh,
back
quiet.
problems by the time we're done.
I mean, I could
mean
just
by the
hold it
time
like
we're
this
done?
and talk it like this. It's not a big deal. Just
Oh,
not
boy.
use the stand.
I don't know why your mic
Yeah.
went so quiet, but
I don't know.
here we are. Did anybody get what I was doing with the nicknames? I thought it was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Famous movie cops.
There you go.
Oh, I thought it was famous movies. Oh well.
So was I Dirty Harry? Is that?
Yes,
yeah,
you
were.
were.
Dirty Harry.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair.
To clarify, I was joking there. I knew it was movie cops. I know there isn't a
No, you're
There's
not.
some good
Harry.
ones.
No, you're not.
Sure, you did.
The theme
I
is
have
all
the
of
Dirty
Matt's
Harry
favorite
films.
action movies.
Yeah, all of Matt's favorites. That's why we're starting with Die Hard, right? Now, is Die Hard Matt's favorite action movie or Matt's favorite movie, or both? I guess both would be.
Kind of both, really. Yeah, like it's always something might come along and be like, oh yeah, that's my favorite movie. But like Die Hard will always slip its way back onto the top spot every time. Like it's just I think it's the most perfect action film ever made, and action films are one of my favorite genres. So it always ends up on top somewhere.
It's funny that I've always kind of thought of Die Hard as being like your best friend's favorite movie. Like everybody has a friend whose favorite movie is Die Hard. It might be yours, but either way, you know someone whose favorite movie is Die Hard. So this is one of those like. This would be not that we're going to do this. This would be a tough one to do like a super negative episode on. Like this one is one of those movies, kind of like when we did the first Halloween, universally agreed upon. No, this one's good. Most people would agree with that. I would say there's not really much negative you can do about it. This movie has no fat on its bones. It's just a great action movie. Dialogue's great. Acting's great. I don't know anyone who doesn't like it, is basically what I'm trying to say. But let's find out really quick. Joel, Ryan, where do you land on Die Hard?
The action genre, I think it's just a great movie.
It's just like, a very well-made film, yeah.
It's just in general. So, like, one of the things I noticed this time, really paying attention, is everything that could be kind of like, oh, how coincidental, is there's something that's laid in early enough that sets that up. So, like, even the drunk couple going into, like, falling into Holly's office, like, that sets up that they're going to be close by shagging, so that when the terrorists are coming in, they're heading towards Holly's office, they stop and turn around, which gives McClane the chance to get out of the office without being seen, because they see in the next office that couple having sex. And, like, without them falling into there, that could be like, oh, how convenient, he had a chance to escape, but they've set it up.
It goes back to the meat on your bone, on the bones question. Like that, there's everything feels so intentional. You know, there's things are placed there for a reason to be used later, and it's always thought of smartly too. You know, like there's little details throughout that. It's like I wouldn't have thought of that. I wouldn't have thought of, you know, how they handle this situation, and it all is played really well. I went through in our chat sort of nitpicking at issues at the start. Mostly to did Matt's goat a little bit, because I knew it would bother him.
Mostly you were nitpicking the credits.
Yeah,
These credits are going on too long, damn it.
It's not too long to cover the entire screen. Like, scenes are happening, people are talking. You want to see what's happening in the background, and it's just like these giant bold letters across the space. It's like, what are we doing? Clearly, this movie on the Blu-ray, they just stretched stuff out a little bit because the 20th Century Fox logo just looks like it was spread across from a full screen view.
So the 20th Century Fox logo is stretched out, but it's the only thing in the film that is, and it's because when they originally made the film, they used like an older version of the 20th Century Fox logo that was set to 185 or something like that, and then realized, oh crap, this is a 235 thing, so they just stretched it out.
Okay.
But yeah, like, it's weird because you go.
All
back
I'm saying
and
is
watch,
the
like,
movie's been out
videos.
for like 40 years. They should fix it by now. They've had time to fix it. They could fix that one.
But that's how the original print was. That's the thing. You don't need to change it.
I've seen the original Star Wars 1,000 times. That didn't stop George Lucas. You can put a new logo on the front of it. No one's gonna get mad. Like, that is not one of those like, you ruined Die Hard. The logo doesn't look weird anymore.
I bet you anything there'll be one person out there who will hate it. They'll be like, you ruined Die Hard. I've literally seen a review of a film called The Driver that someone returned the 4K Blu-ray because this is not even in the film, but when you like first put the disc in, a little notice comes up saying some of the dialogue and this is of the time and doesn't reflect like attitudes of today or something like that. They returned the 4K Blu-ray because of that. It's not even in the film. So there are weirdos out there who would complain about shit like that. The 20th Century Fox logo is not stretched
Are you
anymore.
calling me a weirdo? Like, is that what we're getting to now? It goes back to the nitpicky part of it. Like, there are little nagging things around the periphery, like the logo. And I would argue that some of the transitions are a little abrupt, especially at the first part. It's like one scene will stop at a part that feels like there should have been a little more left, even if it was just like somebody walking out the room or something else. But they're all things at the periphery. Like, this is a really good movie, and I'm not surprised it's somebody's favorite.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those films where you look at it and it's like, I can't see any plot holes in this, and like, you know, there's not. It doesn't look like there is something that was cut out that now sort of leaves you thinking, oh wait a minute, what's going on here? And there isn't anything in there that's like, oh, this is just kind of superfluous. You could have lost that. Everything kind of serves the story, or like serves the characters as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's do a Let's do a quick trailer watch.
Can you hear me, guys?
Whoa, Ryan's back.
Yay!
I can't hear you.
Oh my God.
Uh-oh. This could make for a very interesting episode.
Do you know what I was just about to say as well? I was about to say, is your laptop audio muted? But he can't hear me, so...
Yeah, so that's not going to work at all. I'm just going to pretend that Ryan can hear me, and when he doesn't hear me and the trailer starts, he's going to know what's happening anyways.
we can send a message in chat when we want him to answer a question.
Yeah, there you go.
But let's send him the wrong question.
Yeah, let's watch the trailer first. Ryan will figure out that we're watching the trailer real quick when the trailer starts. Hold on, here we go.
There's the stretched 20th Century Fox.
There it is.
Yeah, in all its glory. Also, like the Blu-ray, some scenes felt a little too clean.
It's Christmas Eve in LA.
Like the quality of the actually film shot.
We'll see what Santa and Mama can do, okay?
A New York cop, John McClane.
The 4K looks more film-like, but I do recall the Blu-ray looking a bit smoother.
He's going to have to save her.
Oh, I remember this trailer. The music is so bad.
Within this skyscraper.
Oh yeah, the trailer music does not match the movie's music at all.
Yeah, the trailer music is so bad. It actually ends with this ding, 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 ding. I think it's so bad.
$604 million. There's that clipping sound
As
in
they
the
are ruthless. But I'm telling you,
song. I'm trying to think, would you like a wooden block that they're
now, the last thing McClane
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
is to be a hero.
Where's Harvey? They took her! Where?
But he doesn't have a choice.
What does he think he's doing?
I think one thing I really appreciate about this movie too is that McClane is not unkillable.
Yeah, that was the thing about the film that really set it apart from a lot of the 80s action films at the time as well. Because like, you gotta remember when this came out, your big action films was Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger for us, and they just like mow down hundreds and hundreds of people, and don't even like they get a scratch on them, but it's just like the scratch that they're given would remove a regular person's arm or something. Like they get shot by a rocket on something, like, oh, that hurt a little bit.
I don't know. Like, I get that's the whole appeal of this, but now I've seen 4 of these movies, and he's pretty unkillable. He's just more wounded.
He just bleeds, though. I mean, that was the thing. I suppose as well the difference is the difference is like this was the film that was like, oh look, regular guys can be action heroes too. Because like, again, it was that thing of the 80s of like
He's an easy
muscle
guy to
bound.
like.
Yeah.
Get together, have a few laughs.
Can you guys hear me?
Man to kill.
Yes.
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 Can you hear us?
We're here. We're good.
Okay.
Willis.
Took a minute.
Here it is. The music.
Party by mistake. Who knew?
How bad is this music?
It's very 80s of them.
Yeah, it's 80s for a film that. When was this film released?
88.
88.
Okay.
There's
So
But yeah,
So that's the
that is
trailer.
not Michael Kamen's score. That is behind.
so what kind of music do you think would suit that trailer better? Out of curiosity.
I don't know, to be honest. I think the trailer is. I think the trailer on a whole is very cheesy. Like, he's an easy guy to like and a hard man to kill. But that was 80s trailers. They were all really kind of like cheesy and everything.
Okay.
They constantly have that one song, the classical song. Why not just have that in the trailer? Which I think they have in like Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yeah, I think
Possibly.
so.
Yeah.
We'll find out in 2 weeks when we get to that trailer. But but no, like there is something very 80s about that trailer. But at the same time, like these movies kind of exist in that weird time frame. The next movie will shine a light on it a lot. Of like this is kind of trying to it's trying to get out of the 80s all over the place. This doesn't really feel like, I mean, like the hair and the costumes, it doesn't really feel like that much of an 80s movie. It feels more like a 90s film. Like this kind of paved the way for what 90s action was going to be and eventually became.
It also kind of feels kind of timeless as well, because there isn't really much about the film where it's just, it kind of grounds it in the 80s as in, oh, this couldn't happen these days. Like, these days people would have mobile phones, but all you need to do is just add the addition of a mobile phone jamming device, and that's it. Like the story could basically play out the same way, pretty much.
I mean, for the most part, there'd be things like with social media, the whole like she can hide in the room and people don't know who she is. Like that stuff would be found out like immediately. Like you just can't hide anymore.
Yeah, I guess because they're really the one thing that the film goes to extreme lengths to show you is like how well informed and intelligent these guys are. They've done their research. Like, you know, he's going through reading Takagi's entire life story, and that is basically showing the audience, these guys know what they're doing. These guys are not just like, 2-bit criminals. They've done the research, and like, if you were doing that in this day and age, Holly's like face would, well, I suppose it wouldn't be McClane though, would it? So that's the big thing. Like the big thing of it is like,
but they would still know
Holly
like
Gennaro.
But who is Holly Gennaro? She's the woman who married John McClane, and like it would be like, just because she's hiding under her maiden name doesn't mean that when they do a background check, it wouldn't show that Holly Gennaro married John McClane. Like,
but would they have done a background check on her? Because like they did the background check on Takagi because he was who we wanted. They wouldn't really necessarily do a background check on everyone that's there.
Yeah, but she's also an executive at this firm, so it's like
true.
I don't know. I might be looking down the pyramid of feckless executives to see, how I can manipulate them or make sure I got my bases covered.
It's one of those like I don't think it's a problem in the movie at all. But if it was made today, they'd have to come up with a reason why there'd be a line of like, why did you do the background check on everybody? Like there'd be something a little bit more like nitpicky that I feel like they didn't do as much in the 80s, probably for better. Kind of just ruins movies nowadays. But
instead of a news reporter, it'd be a teenager off TikTok, talking over the events happening.
Equally as annoying, though.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The punch at the end would be a bit more controversial, like this grown ass woman punching a 13-year-old out.
I feel like it'd be hard to punch somebody over the internet.
That's also true. But if he was there,
if you can poke someone,
like I don't know.
If you can poke someone on Facebook, I'm sure you can throw a punch on.
Can you still poke people on Facebook? Like,
I don't know.
How badly do we just date this podcast?
Well, we're gonna find out here, Brian.
I mean, I remember the super pokes where you could throw a sheep at someone. Like,
oh, I remember that.
That was weird.
Yeah. Joel's now trying to poke someone.
He's trying to punch me on the internet.
Here. Yeah, I don't think there's poking anymore. There's no more poking. All right, well let's dial this thing back and actually start kind of going through this movie. So, my notes are just complete dog shit because I've seen this movie a lot, as most people have. This is the first holiday season I did not watch it though, because I have this this crazy idea that is not a Christmas movie. I know. Yeah, great. Here's my reasoning. If it's a Christmas movie, I'm only going to watch it at Christmas time, and at which point I'd rather watch other Christmas movies. If it's not a Christmas movie, I can happily watch it at any point throughout the year because it's just a great film. I land on it's a great film, not a Christmas movie. I don't lump it in with the other Christmas movies because I don't want to waste people's time with like, oh yeah, you can watch The Drinks and Die Hard. Who cares? If you want to watch it at Christmas, great. That doesn't make it a Christmas movie. It's a movie that takes place at Christmas. Slight difference, but it matters.
The way I see it is that Christmas is integral to the plot, and the way that the plot sort of like plays out is very much in the vein of those Christmas films. Like Christmas films are always about like family coming, like the estranged families coming back together. This is one of those stories. There just happens to be terrorists in this one.
And
Christmas is integral to the plot.
I've heard all these arguments, and what I'm telling you is, the more you argue it, the worse you make the movie for me. So stop arguing it if you want me to like Die Hard.
Guys, all right, I have something I have to say. Joel poked me.
They make it like they hide it. You have to go in. I'm not going into the instructions.
Moving on.
Anyhow, so this wonderful non-Christmas movie starts. I'm pissing everybody off with this. Well, do you want it to be a bad movie? Then fine. Let's talk about this bad Christmas movie, Die Hard. That's the goal we want to make.
Doesn't make it so.
It's all of our opinions. That's what matters. So this great action film is what I will call it. Starts with the most empty LAX I've ever seen beyond the movie Carry On. If you haven't seen Carry On yet, it's just basically Die Hard 5. It's fun seeing LAX be empty. It's kind of it's a nice thing. If you've ever been through LAX, it's a complete nightmare of an airport. So seeing it like, oh wow, things used to be kind of calm there. It is a little nice. But this regular cop who could still bring guns on planes, that's nice to see, goes to visit his ex-ish wife, getting separated wife in LA because she'd gotten her new job there. Everyone knows the plot to Die Hard. This is what we're doing. I got nothing. Like this is a tough movie to talk about because everything just works. It's something we talked about in the very beginning of this. Like him showing up to see his wife. Okay, yeah, that works. I need to see that. He's got a gun on because he's a cop. Okay, yep, this is all tracking. You can bring a gun on a plane because it's the 80s. Okay, great. Yep, this is all working. Like there's not. It's a tough one to really dig into and try to like rip apart because there's not anything there to rip apart. Even Argyle being his driver in the garage, even that works for the most part. It's kind of ridiculous that he's down there the whole time, but like it also tracks that he'd be down there the whole time. Then they just kind of forget about him for a while, and then he just busts out at the end. Like I like it, but he's basically just down there the whole time to make sure that the escape route for the are they terrorists? They say they're not terrorists; they're just thieves.
Well, that's the thing. So we it's always referred to. They're always referred to as terrorists, but they were never really terrorists because they're not doing anything for political gain or anything like that. And even to the point where John McTiernan almost passed on the film and basically said, "Look, I don't want to do a terrorist film. I don't find those interesting." But like, no, it's not a terrorist film. It's a heist film. They're pretending to be terrorists, but it's actually just a heist movie. And he was more interested in that, and then he came on board to do it. But every single synopsis refers to them as terrorists, but they're not actually terrorists. They're thieves.
Like one of my favorite lines in the movie is like "Who said we're terrorists?"
Mm-hmm.
Like
like they just the laugh of like who said we were terrorists.
Or later when they give the police the misdirection, giving a list of names or nationals,
so
and
just
baiting them. I
love that.
Yeah,
what I love about that as well is like just the interaction between Hans Gruber and the police every single time is brilliant, and I love the one with the FBI especially because it really goes to show you how well thought out this plan is and how like meticulously planned it's been, that they have covered all the bases, because you have the FBI guys being like by the time they figure out what's going on, we'll be in a bodyguard. Immediate snap cut to Hans Gruber going, as soon as they touch down, we'll blow the roof and we'll spend months sifting through the pieces, and before they figure out what's going on, we'll be sitting on a beach earning 20%. And it's just like that cut is so good because it's like you've got this cockiness of the FBI going, we're gonna pull the wool over their eyes and having no idea, but like the wool's already been pulled over your eyes. Like you have no idea what's going on, and I love that, and it is one of the reasons why I think the film is so great is because it isn't just like action for action's sake, and like these kind of like films. Like John Wick, for example. Like I do really like John Wick films for what they are, but it's never going to be better than Die Hard because the story-wise, it's not as smart. The characters are intelligent and three-dimensional enough.
And you'll never have a moment in a Die Hard movie like you do in John Wick where it's like, I could have been out of here in 2 hours if you put some less action in this.
Yeah.
I love John Wick 4. Don't get me wrong. It's great. All the action's great, but it could have been a 2-hour movie. And I would have loved it all the same. It's 3 hours, just so we're all on the same page and we remember that we spent 3 hours watching that. 40 of it is him falling down the stairs.
I think you'll find it's 2 hours 50 minutes.
I round up, and I'm allowed to do that.
Dude, we're gonna start going by seconds.
Well, the thing that's going back to Die Hard though, because we are talking about Die Hard. Like the thing with like a lot of films, like you always kind of like the hero is kind of boring. Like the hero is the hero. The heroes are always really kind of like the boring.
Well, they're supposed to be like an empty vessel that you can put yourself in as the viewers. The less you give them, the more you can put yourself in them. Like that's
like these kind of films, they live or die on their villain, and their villain and the villain in Die Hard. Like I cannot think of another movie villain that has been portrayed and written better than Hans Gruber. To be honest, I think he is, because he's not just evil. He's not just like that. He's 3-dimensional. He's got a real personality to him. He's incredibly charismatic,
He's got a great American accent.
Sure.
they all do.
Oh God, please!
I just
like the guy at the front desk who just sounds like a cowboy.
He is American.
in
Go ahead,
LA,
why not? But
no,
Matt, to your point, I firmly believe that any movie that has a very drawn out villain, the movie is a little bit more successful. Because you have someone that you truly hate and someone that you want to see lose. And we get that with this movie. Hans Gruber is one of the best villains on screen.
Oh yeah, but
I wouldn't say you hate him though, because he.
I hate him. I hate him a lot.
Yeah.
He scared the ever loving fuck out of me as a kid.
Because he's so smart.
It wasn't even how smart he was. It's how ruthless he was. Like that's the scene where he kills
Takagi.
Takagi.
And that's one
Holy
of the things
shit.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like with that scene is so brutally violent. Like, you literally see the back of his head explode and like the brain splat against the glass. It has to be that violent and that shocking.
But see,
because if they don't have that in there, because of how charismatic he is, people are gonna there'll be some people watching the film who will be kind of like, I kind of want him to win. I like this guy because when he kills Ellis, no one gives a shit about Ellis. People want Ellis to die because he's an asshole.
Yeah,
Takagi's Takagi's been set up as this really sort of like nice guy who's friendly and.
This is what makes it even more, and this is to Brian's point, is that he never needed Takagi because he had the backup plan with the FBI cutting the power to let the electromagnetic. Lock.
Well, no, the thing with
it was all in the end game. It was all in the end game for him.
The thing with Takagi is just the password, and they taken into consideration of because the password was one of the code blocks, and they had the computer guy there who could just kind of like hack it somehow.
You mean peck at the keyboard?
Yeah, he just did some weird translation of Red Castle or something. I don't know. but so they try to get the password. But they also have a guy there who can hack it, and it's just going to extend the timeline a little bit longer. And that's the sort of the thing. Like he's trying to get the sort of the quickest route to this. So he goes with Takagi, doesn't get what he wants out of Takagi. So then he just goes into Plan B of well, hack a guy, you can work on that, and then work on the next lock because it's all in there in the dialogue as well. It's and another thing that that builds on this is the little moments between the sort of the lesser characters of Carl and I forget his name now, the hacker guy, but when they're in that briefing, that meeting room, and Takagi's oh, I can't tell you that, blah 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 blah, and the hacker guy's I told you, and then you hear Carl's it's not over yet, and then after he shoots Takagi, you see Carl hand the guy some amount of currency. It's they put a bet.
They put a bet on
whether
it,
or not. and I love that. And it's just those small moments in those characters which really makes the difference in this film. Because in the characters, all of the characters feel believable and real. They're not just henchman number one, henchman number two. There is some personality in all of them.
So take, for example, the first henchman he kills is one of the other henchmen's brother.
Yeah.
He takes it very personally that his brother is killed. You get that setup because they kind of fuck with each other.
Yeah. They do the brotherly thing of he's there trying to turn off the phone line things, and he's comes in and hey brother, and he's starts cutting things no, I'm not done yet. It's basically well, better hurry up. Yeah.
It's they joke around with each other. That's something that I don't want to get ahead of ourselves and start knocking the other movies, but it's something the rest of them don't do as much. There is a
camaraderie. You see camaraderie between these guys.
Yeah.
What you get,
the guy who's a terrorist in almost all these movies, the guy who sits and eats a Crunch bar while he's waiting to kill people.
Yeah.
It's you don't see that when you have henchmen. They're bored. I'm just gonna sit here and munch on a Crunch bar.
It's the bit where he stood there with the MP5 and he's looking at things right, okay, they're in, and he kind of looks down and then it's
I'm gonna eat.
Now I've seen it, I want it, and then he just he puts the hand under the thing and then just starts eating it, and then it's just then when we cut back to him next, he's eating a different chocolate bar as well. It's this progression of time as well. It's oh well, he's had enough time to eat one chocolate bar, now he's eating another one, and then but as soon as they're okay, they're ready, go to action, immediately just chucks it down and goes into like, you know, okay,
Mercenary
now I
mode.
need to work now. And it's those little moments which sets this apart so much from a lot of.
Has anybody seen the movies that made us on Netflix? Because they did Die Hard, and it is mind blowing to me that this movie was made on the fly, and it works so well. They were writing the script as they were filming, and there's
no sound stages as well. That's all shot in the Fox Plaza building.
Sure sounds like it.
And you can tell, like, yeah. I mean, because you can tell it's very much a studio film, because like when they go in the office and it's the sunrise, you can like you can see the rippling on the sun there. But like there's something about the flow of this movie that they're like, it's still fresh in their mind. So when they're sitting there writing pages for the next day, they're like, oh well, he did this. He doesn't have any shoes. Let's blow out the glass and make him, walk on this. Like, it's just. I almost suggest people to write movies like this, but you're never going to see that nowadays. You're never going to see that nowadays.
Nor should you. Just because it works for you doesn't mean it works for everybody. Most movies written on the fly suck.
Yeah, Die Hard is a unique film in that respect, because when RoboCop 2 was written on the fly, and
we all know how that ended up.
Had some good moments.
Sweet jetpack.
But the one thing I was trying to say that I think that we were kind of hitting around, but we never quite got to, is when you look at the bad guys in this thing and how they're all set up through the tower and everything. What we have here is it is exactly what Matt said. It's a heist movie. If we made Hans Gruber the main character, he'd be our George Clooney in Ocean's 11, and the rest of the cast would just be the normal cast. They have their camaraderie, they have everything. The thing is that we're going to watch this from the police point of view, so instead we get John McClane's take on it. And this heist would have gone off perfectly fine, without a hitch even, had John McClane not been in the building, which is something that happens to a few people throughout time in the John McClane universe, and it just has to be the most rotten luck. To the point where, like, if you start hearing him on your radio, you should just pack it up. Like, you're done. Like, I don't know how he's going to do it, but he's going to stop you, and it's going to be really, really annoying. Pack it up, guys. That is my favorite thing about the Die Hard franchise, all the way up to and including the most recent terrible one that came out like 10 years ago now, 15. When did that last one come out?
2015 or 2012. 2012.
Was it really 2012? Wow,
I think so. I think it's 12 years old.
Either way, but like there's that element of John McClane that is just fantastic. Now he's not the same character that he was back in Die Hard 2, Die Hard 3, and 4 and 5, but it is also still it's still him, and he's still there. And that all starts in this one of this guy, as Matt put it earlier, this regular guy that anyone can be him as long as you're moderately ripped. You're not shredded like the other beefcakes of the 80s, but you're in good shape.
I mean, I don't know, because like when he's getting pulled out the window, he's got a beer gut on him. Like that camera's looking, like you can see.
If you're calling that a beer gut, holy shit, am I the fattest person alive?
Okay,
he's
so
laid
question.
down.
Who out of us
sticking up if he's laid down?
Who out of us could fit through a ventilator shaft?
I would like to say I can with a lot of butter, but it ain't gonna happen.
I mean,
I'm sorry, I'm still gonna say no.
No way.
Quit
no way.
Me, Joel.
Yes, he is not the super cut dude, but no beer gut. I'm not giving you beer gut on that one. I've seen
either.
too many beer guts in my day.
Okay, he's got a start of a beer gut.
He has skin. I'll give you he has skin.
I'm pretty sure. No, we only see him drink with like scotch or something like that.
Look at, at the end of the film when he is shirtless, he's lean.
Yeah.
Period.
I don't know. Maybe that was normal size for the late 80s, early 90s, and we just lost perspective.
Either way, so we have this quote unquote normal guy. He's very, like super charismatic, very resourceful. But he does give you that scrappy sort of vibe that I can't think of another movie that does even half as well as this one does. This guy who's flying by the seat of his pants every scene of the movie, never really has a plan, does the best he can, and mostly gets by unscathed-ish. He's got a big hole in his foot, but...
I think it's the panic in his movement and his speech that sort of humanizes him. you go back to the John Wick, and I mean, he's not hardly talking at all, but John McClane is talking to himself as he's trying to figure stuff out. Yep. He is having exasperation and freaking out when he has to do death-defying stunts and things. And it seems all very grounded.
I swear I'll never go on a tall building again. As he's
this is so stupid, John. It's so stupid, John. Yeah, there's some.
It's when he opens the thing. It's like he's pulling the fire hose. It's like, oh, John, what the fuck are you doing? How the hell did you get involved in all this shit?
It's so grounded. Like any one of us, like I got to do what I got to do to survive. But this is nuts.
I mean, I do that kind of stuff, and I'm not about to jump off a building sometimes. I will be there going, oh, what have you fucking done? Why have you got into this? And I'm not about to jump off a building with a fire hose wrapped around my chest.
Yeah, that was just when you ordered Domino's the other day.
I haven't ordered Domino's in a long time because the last time I did, well, let's not talk, like, more violent than Die Hard, though.
Be careful, you might lose their sponsorship opportunity.
Yeah, they're knocking on the door.
Is that just because you've ordered Domino's?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Although I'm gonna just throw it out there. If you guys did not catch this past week, Domino's throwing shade at Assassin's Creed. It was very funny. Didn't expect it from Domino's, but I was very appreciative of it.
Yeah, that feels more like a Wendy's thing.
It did, yeah. But go Domino's. All right. So what haven't we talked about in this thing? Like, do you want to talk like specific action sequences? Do you want to talk a little bit more? We didn't really talk the reporter at all. Although I know he's the reporter from Die Hard. I always forget his name in this thing. For me, he is always the guy from Dick, whatever. He's always the guy from Biodome. Every time I see him, I just want him talking to a dead parrot going, no, I am God. Like, it's just...
He's also the guy from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, we're going to say he's Dickless from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, no, I get that. Biodome.
It's Biodome for Brian.
It's Biodome. I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is.
This guy, Richard Thornburg, he's great because he adds that extra layer of sleep. Like, this is also like, he's not a bad guy, but he is a bad guy because he, as a reporter, does what a reporter does, but he also he makes the situation a lot worse for John and his family. And that in and of itself is like, a shitty thing to do, but he's a reporter. He's trying to get the story.
He's like a tabloid reporter. He's the type of reporter who would camp out inside someone's house with a long lens camera to take pictures of them and stuff like that. Yes. Like when he goes to the house and there's that throwaway line where it's like, let us in or I'll call INS and have you deported. Yeah. Basically, it's like, you absolute shitbag.
Yeah,
like you do not care about these kids are probably traumatized at the moment. And you're just going to add to the trauma. Great.
I bet the kids didn't even know about it until they showed up.
Yeah,
probably actually. Yeah, they were probably in bed sleeping.
Yeah,
like and he makes more sense in this one than he does in the next one. Of all of his motivation. The next one he's kind of forced in the movie, but this one it works.
A lot of stuff's forced in that film.
Yeah, it's
a lot of films forced into this.
A lot of cameos. I mean, they even brought the female reporter from this movie.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one next week. Or in like 20 minutes, but next week for everybody else. But no, like I think the reporter works. I think Dick works. We named the show after one of his lines, so we like him a little bit.
He's a perfect.
I'm still like, I always say there's no fat on this movie. If there was going to be any fat, it would be on the reporting. I'm not sure how much it really adds to the film overall, but I also don't really want to lose it.
It gives a bit of a reprieve. It gives a bit of a reprieve from the inside of the building. It gives you a bit of an outside look. And I do love the cutaways to the news reporters, like to the newsroom, and the dude hostage, terrorist hostage, all that whole thing. It's
without him, there's no link to Holly, and it's because of him is where Holly gets figured out, and that's important because that really makes the rivalry between Hans and McClane come forefront. Like they've known each other. Now they really know each other. You're not going to have that if this guy does not exploit John McClane.
That's true. I feel like it's the biggest reach they've had to make something work, but it still works. So I'm nitpicking. I'm trying to find something to try to take a shot at this movie because there's like nothing in it.
Can we talk about the choreography?
It adds to the realism a little bit, though, because if there's to be a huge crime scene, terrorism thing in progress, the news is going to be all over it, and maybe the characters, whatever, but it would be a little weird if there was no.
And you get the thing of as soon as his name goes over the radio, you get that cut to Thornburg, and he's like, "Did you get that name down? Like, get onto whatever in New York." And so there's like that liner, and that explains how they then find out all these details, because like he basically said, "Oh, get onto the New York office," which he's a police officer. There'd be some contacts in the police department. They'd be able to get that information as well, and it's just it's one of those things as well that like you might look at it from the outside and go, oh well, it's not really needed, but then it's one of those things that it's this thing that's in the corner, but it leads on to something
that's true
that's important. Like the line, like within 30 seconds of the film, you've got the line about take off your shoes and your socks, walk around and make fists with your toes, blah blah blah. That leads on to why he's barefoot, and that also then leads on to the glass scene as well. And it's just
the glass.
Like it just, what is so great about this film is all of that stuff. Like these little tiny things that are just they're dropped in, and then it leads on to something. It's a thread that goes throughout the film, and I can't think of many films that have done it in that amount of level. Like it's the screenplay is so intricate. Like even though they were writing it on the fly, they still had a lot of the actual plot outline. I mean, it's based on a book, for Christ's sake, so they weren't making it up as they went on.
You can't say based on a book. They got the name from the book.
No, I've read the book. I've read the book. There's a hell of a lot in that book that's in the film.
Okay.
I've read the book. The book ends a lot darker.
From the show, they made it seem like they just pulled a few things and that was it. But that makes sense.
I've read the book. There's a lot of the stuff that's in the film is actually in the book. I mean, I was surprised at how much it was, because I'd read that and I'd seen stuff about that as well, that it was loosely based on the book. I'm reading it going loosely. There's a shitload of the stuff that's in the book here.
So if you want to nitpick, Brian, first and foremost, this is not a nitpick, is the stunts in this movie are fantastic, and you can tell Bruce Willis is doing a lot of the stunts. We don't get that in the second movie. They have him actually tied up and shooting into a window because they have to get that shot from inside the building, and that's really cool. But some of these things, some of the fights, you can tell that they're just going through the motions. Like, oh, this is where I lose my gun. Oh, I'm going to throw it. Or, like, you can't really explain, like, when they're falling down the stairs, oh, I've broken my neck. How the hell did that happen?
See, I always see that as an accident. I always see it like they just fall down the stairs and like he got lucky.
But the progression of the stunts is what's really cool, because it almost like they're fine tuning it as they're going, and the things get more and more fine tuned, which I enjoy.
I really appreciated that death down the stairs, because it showed that people are killable without it being absurd.
A gunfight.
Like but that is clearly like people can die that way. You almost never see that in an action.
You fall down like some steel stairs or something, and you don't get some sort of serious injury. You're lucky.
Well,
like,
while in a hemlock,
speed.
It's not like he just took a tumble. Like he was fighting for his life while he took his tumble. Like
right.
Yeah.
But that's
but to push back on so people can die in this real way, and then we string a guy up by his neck later who comes back to life. Like.
But if you look, he's got his hand
up on the roof.
I know.
He's got his hand in between the chains.
Yeah,
so there is that sort of thing.
But he's still up there for a while.
He's up
there. It's like we have the camera pulled down, and he's still hanging there as everyone's running down. From the roof.
Right. No, don't get me wrong. There's a power scaling thing that happens throughout this, kind of like a video game in a way.
I was going to say, how video gamey of you.
It's one of the languages I have. So by the end, yes, it gets a little over the top, but also it feels within scope of what this movie has done up to that point. So,
like McClane's leveled up by the time he gets. Like McClane's leveled up by the time he gets to Carl, so he's got to be a harder boss to fight.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at my notes. Like, what are other things that the one thing that's always kind of bothered me in this movie, and not in a way that I take it as like a negative against the movie. I enjoy
the intro credits. Yeah, I know we talked about that.
It's not that. That's never bothered me until you point it out, and I'll never unsee it. No, the RV, the police car they call in, like, get the car, and they go and get the car, and this huge thing's like rolling down the street, and then it gets stuck on the stairs, and then gets blown up. Like all of this, all this preamble, like, here comes the car, they're gonna take out the they're gone. No, that didn't work.
I kind of love.
But it's another one of those
is,
things as well, like how good that they are on like preparation for like. Oh well, it's we need like some heavy weapon as well. So like they've got a rocket launcher, and like this RV thing, it's not on tracks. So like as soon as it goes onto those like it's just gonna get beached. Like, and that's exactly what happens. It gets beached on the little handrail thing.
Yeah, okay. It's the handle's like, I'm stuck.
It exploded like 3 times too. It's I appreciate the gratuitousness of that in that moment.
What I love about the explosion though is like the sort of the detail that they go on that explosion to the point where you see like almost like the fuel tank's ruptured and you see fuel spill out of it. Like you see fire kind of spill out of the back of it, and it's those kind of like details that are like that. Just it's little things that add it, but it draws you in more than just like just being a big huge explosion.
Put it in reverse, Terry.
Yeah. But I agree. Like I love that. That's always been one of my favorite sequences, just because of how ridiculous it is. And you know, I like to laugh at movies, and that one is just like, here it comes. It's gonna wreck the day. Oh no, never mind.
It's done.
It's the line delivery of the SWAT commanders. It's like send to the car. Send to the car.
Yeah.
Boy, it was a Cybertruck. That would have made it.
Yeah, I was thinking that
if
too.
it was a Cybertruck, it would have blown up on its own. You wouldn't need it.
Just enters frame and explodes. Like, God damn, Cybertrucks.
But even then too, like with that sequence, you know, the whole rocket launcher thing, like them setting it up and nailing it to the ground, like everything about that was.
I love them nailing it to the ground.
Yes.
I love the detail of them actually using like the bolt gun or whatever it is they use to nail that thing to the ground, because it's like, those things have got a hell of a lot of recoil on them.
For sure. I mean, but it's you know, and even as they're sitting there looking for the rockets, like everything about how they're contained, and this movie is a mindless action movie, but the details in this movie is what makes this movie so classic. As you pointed out, Matt, with like the gas spilling out, you know, you have all these different things as they mold together. We're not terrorists, we're actually thieves. Like, it's just the little bit and the performances that make this movie so timeless, in my opinion.
No, I agree. And all the way up to the ending. Like when we get to the ending of this thing, and you know, like the fire systems are going off, there's sprinklers everywhere, there's things are on fire, and it's raining. It's just extremely dramatic. The ending to this movie is perfect. And like, if the ending wasn't great, people would probably still like it. You know, like we can go back to our previous show of Nightmare on Elm Street. First, the ending wasn't great. People still love the original, but the ending works. Like it all builds in this big crescendo. Like you want an epic showdown for this ending, and you get it. It doesn't go the way that I thought it was going to the first time I saw it, but it still works just so well. And then you hear the stories about how he fell, and like McTiernan dropped him on 2 instead of 3 to get the better expression on his face. It's like,
well, the fact that it's a standoff too, like, you know, we get a lot of these parallels with cowboys.
Yeah,
I was just thinking this, like as we were talking about, like, you know, the cowboy thing, and it's an old fashioned Western standoff.
It is a standoff. There's 3 people, 2 of them are bad, 1 is good, and he's weaponless, or so we think.
He goes under the pseudonym Roy.
Yep.
For Roy Rogers, which is a nice detail.
But I mean, he literally walks into a standoff, and he does that because it's the woman he will, his Grace Kelly, so to speak. So.
Yep. And then it
Gary
works.
Cooper asshole.
But like, even like the showing he's got 2 bullets. Like, we're finally going to count shots and guns at some point in this movie, and here we are. We get 2, and it's such a great moment. Just like he fires 2 shots. That's it.
Happy trails, Hans.
Yeah.
Yep. Man, good stuff.
Have we talked about Al Pal yet? Because we have to talk.
No,
about
I guess we should talk about him. We
got to talk about Twinkie Levin.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they've got the dad from Family Matters. Well, he's first Al Johnson. Is it Al Powell?
Powell.
Reginald Johnson. I mean, this guy is so good, and no matter what he does, he just has that fatherly figure. And like, to know that he's expecting a kid is so cool. But even when he's telling the story about how he accidentally, you know, shot a kid and he doesn't want to fire his gun, and he's the guy at the end that gets the last shot. I mean, everything about his character arc works, and the fact that he's the man outside and trying to talk to Bruce and be his conscience, it works for this movie. And they couldn't have found a better actor for it.
Oh yeah, and like,
I love the scene in the bathroom where they're on the radio and they're talking about it, and it's like you've got the story from Powell, but then you've also got like McClane, who's basically got to a point where it's like
he's freaking out.
Yeah, I'm gonna die, basically. And like, I can imagine, like, there must have been a thing in like the 80s before we know about all the sequels and all that stuff. Like, you know, we're watching this one-off film for the first time. It's grounded, like, you know, in terms of like an action film. It's a lot more grounded. It's a lot more believable. And like, you can imagine, like, there's some people in the audience who are thinking, I don't think he's gonna survive this. And it does a really good job of setting that up. Like, you know, he has him, you know, basically saying, please find my wife, tell her that I said that I'm sorry, and you know, all that sort of stuff. And it just, there is something really kind of like, it sort of gets you a little bit with this notion that there is a chance that he might not survive. Like, you know, he's been beaten, he's been battered, his feet are cut to pieces. At this point, he's basically hanging on by a thread. Yeah, and emotionally as well. Like, there's tears in his eyes as well. Like, you know, think of another 80s action film where the main character is crying that's not Lethal Weapon.
Predator. Right?
When does the main character cry in Predator?
He cries out,
"Whoa! Get to the chopper!" As he's crying.
Get to the chopper.
There's just something unique and genuine about this movie. It adds a human element of the fact that John McClane has this person who is essentially talking him through and surviving. You know, and you know, you always have that critique of it's the man outside letting know what's going, the play-by-plays, but it's not that. It's, hey, you know, how long have you been with the force? You know, hey, yeah, I'm not going to fire my gun because I accidentally shot a kid. You know, it's more, it gives a more human element, and for that moment to happen as John McClane is going through his own crisis and, you know, bleeding out from his foot, it just makes sense. It's
kind of like the buddy cop dynamic, but they don't meet until the very end, and it's that sort of the thing at the end where they have that look, and it's this
those doomy eyes, they were ready to get down right
that's the thing, like, you know, because we keep seeing both characters, like, you know, like visually we see them, like it's easy to forget that at that sequence at the very end where they look in each other's eyes deeply and immediately know that they're meant to be together. This is the first time they're seeing each other as well,
right? Like, and when you get to 2, and like we've already said, it feels forced. Like, put the Twinkie down.
Yeah.
Like, I think that one of the details I like about that bathroom scene too is that he's spilling his heart out to this cop, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking they're all sharing the same radio frequencies. So obviously his wife's hearing this stuff too. And was he smart enough to spill his guts this way so he knew that she would hear it?
Maybe
possible, yeah.
It's possible.
No, like
I mean, the thing is, like, he doesn't know that she's near a radio as well.
Yeah,
I think at that point, I don't think he cares. At that point, I don't think he really cares that, like, you know, someone's listening on this. Like, I think he's just, like, emotionally, it just feels like he's got to the point of, like, I don't think I'm going to survive. I need this somehow to, like, you know, get to Holly. If I don't survive, I need her to know that I'm sorry.
Well,
and it is like, and it goes back to
that.
You know,
I'm always there ready to put up balloons.
I mean, Joel, I never really thought of that he would be pouring out thinking that she would hear, but you pointed out 2 things that I never caught the first time. And I appreciate that from you, Joel.
Was one the credits?
No, the other one.
3 things.
Not the credits, but Hart Bachner, who plays Ellis, sitting there doing cocaine, and Bruce Willis going, "You missed some." And then later when he's with Hans, they bring him a Coca-Cola. Never made that connection. Really,
I never made that connection. I've seen this film a lot.
Never made it.
That's pretty good.
What I like about
I saw it when I was a kid, and I didn't realize that. Like, I saw this film the first time I saw this film, I was maybe like 7 or 8 years old, so I didn't know what cocaine was. I didn't know what he was doing in the office.
It's a Christmas
The idea
party.
of showing this movie to my son, who's turning 7 this year, I'm like, no fucking way.
I turned out all right.
Sure.
You're here talking with us. I think you went down a wrong path somewhere. What I like about that scene, though, with the cokehead executive and Hans, he blasts him in the head twice, right?
Yeah.
And then at some point, there's a scene where he's talking, and the camera scene is showing the bullet holes and Hans in the background.
Yeah,
too.
I do like that.
Really
It's
nice detail.
The camera sort of it pans around and like
you see the back of his head.
Is just
yep.
Well, the back of his head is like it's out of focus because the focus is on Hans, but it's just this blurry kind of like mess of blood and like and the way that it's sort of shot. I don't know if it was a prosthetic head with a hole in it or if it was the actor, but it kind of looks like you can see through the head as well.
I hope it wasn't the actor.
Yeah, otherwise this was the actor's last role.
No, this guy actually goes on to be as the villain in Urban Legends 2.
Great.
Oh, the classic film Urban Legends.
He did really well after this.
That's great.
Really well.
But I honestly like he has the biggest like if you were to like do like a visual description of shit-eating grin, he has it.
Oh yeah.
Like that grin where it's like I can give him to you. It's like, oh, I want to punch it. I want to punch his fucking face right off.
So did Hans Gruber, but he did it with a gun.
You guys,
he's like,
yeah.
I can't wait to kill this guy. It's gonna be good.
You know what he was in before this movie? 4 years before, he was the love interest in Supergirl.
Oh no.
This guy had a great career.
Although I just totally off topic, and then we're gonna get into quotes. I just finished the comic that the upcoming Supergirl movie is being based on, Woman of Tomorrow. Fucking great. If you want to read a really, really good Supergirl story, which I know is not something a lot of our audience probably goes for, you should because it's great. Supergirl's not the most popular comic, but this one is fucking amazing. Highly, highly, highly recommended. All right, let's do some quotes.
Oh, can I just say one thing before we move into quotes?
Nope.
I did some
quotes.
I did some inflation calculating because $640 million is a lot of money today. But
sure.
Back in 1988, $640 million back then would be worth $1.7 billion today.
God, inflation is brutal.
Sure
Holy crap.
Life is just a series of number go up. I mean,
but like you hear that number, it's like that's a lot of money still, and then it's like holy shit, that's what it was worth back then. Like think of what you could buy. You could buy
a government.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. An
Not
election.
Just a third world one.
Anyhow. Oh, really quick, just because we were talking about the LSC and we didn't say anything else. I just want to throw out there, he didn't give up Holly. Like when they were...
Yeah,
like as much as the guy sucks, he had an opportunity to give up Holly, and instead he's like, "No, we're old college buddies. You know, come on, John."
He's good.
Yeah.
But again,
he did one good thing.
He
did because he wants to, be in Holly's pants.
Hey, his motivations aside, he did one good thing.
You don't look too deeply into the motivations.
Yeah, no, it falls apart real fast, but
it really does. But like, to be fair, we haven't talked about Holly all that much, and like, just very quickly, like, she is a really sort of strong.
She's a solid character.
She is
because like, she stands up to Hans Gruber, like
True.
fucking like multiple times throughout the entire film.
Yeah,
but it's not just that though. It's like immediately the first interaction is like when he says, "What idiot put you in charge?" and she just immediately goes, "You did."
Yeah. Oh,
like can you imagine like that someone has just killed your boss? Like, it's got some balls to talk back at them. Like, it really does.
I mean, when you know he's willing to kill your boss at the drop of a hat, you know there's really nothing left to lose. And she operates like that. She's like, you could kill me. There's no point in trying to sugarcoat this. If you're going to kill him, we're all disposable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's really good head on her shoulders. Probably the smartest person in this movie beyond Hans Gruber. Because I'm not giving it to John McClane. He's the luckiest person in this movie.
Oh, yeah. John McClane is not smart. He's lucky.
Yeah.
Like, that is a key thing in this. Like, because
he's a bit resourceful, too.
He's resourceful. Resourceful is not smart, though. Resourceful is just, like, you know what to do with, like, a few things you have. Smart is, like, being really kind of, like, planning things out, manipulating people, like, knowing when to turn something on or not, like charm-wise. I mean, not just like a button, but like in terms of like McClane's resourcefulness is just kind of like, oh well, I've got this here. Oh, I know what I can do with that. That's a good idea.
I've got a fire hose. I can go bungee jumping. Let's go great.
Yeah, like McClane is very reactive, as opposed to Hans Gruber, who is very proactive. He's planned everything out, and then because of how proactive he was in planning everything out, because he hasn't taken into consideration this John McClane, basically, his plan is getting disrupted because it is so tightly planned, and he didn't think of that one wild card.
Yeah. So quotes.
Yeah.
We're going to let Matt go first because I'm sure Matt's got 1,000. Do we go for the most obvious quotes? This is an extremely quoted movie.
I'm not wasting my quote on that one. That is far too obvious. Like,
there's more than just that one. There's a lot that are constantly
there's a lot.
I'm
There's
going
a
for
lot.
the most nonchalant line, throwaway line that's hilarious.
Well, too bad Matt goes first.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with one like because when we covered this on ATH back in the day, which I would just say I hadn't seen the film in 6 months at that point, and I was still able to just talk about it. So that's how much I've seen this film. I did a different quote to the one that I'm going to do now. So I'm making sure that we've done 2 different quotes here. But it's towards the end, and it's Holly. After all your posturing, after all your little speeches, you're nothing but a common thief. And Hans Gruber just, like, in a rage, turns around and like gets right up in her face and goes, "I am an exceptional thief, Mrs. McLean, and since I'm moving up to kidnapping, you should be more polite."
That's a good one.
It is a good one. He takes it very personally.
He does.
Because at this point, he's so pissed off with, like, you know, this woman's husband has been, like, you know, the thing that's fucking up his plan, and he can't get to him, so he's taking it out on her.
Yeah.
But also he won't kill her because he hangs on to her as bait.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's smart enough to hang on to her as bait as well. He's not stupid enough to let his anger override that and kill her.
Hmm.
All right, Ryan, what's yours?
We didn't really talk about him much, but he was the guy outside with Al Powell. They would constantly bicker and fight, but it's after the roof explodes and the FBI guys are in the helicopter and they're dead. And so Dwayne T. Robinson says, "We're going to need some more FBI guys, I guess."
What I like about that is like the exploration that he does before that.
Yep.
Holy Christ! It's just like it's the most kind of like white bread mayo response.
Yep. Guess we're gonna need some more FBI's guys, I guess. Just so
What I like,
away,
and
so
then
funny.
Powell's look as well. It just goes.
Yeah. Like, what?
Well, the guy's been so buttoned up the whole movie. Like, he's been like the buy the book guy. Then he's like, ooh, shit.
We're expendable now.
And then he's got that line later when the body's falling over. He goes,
I hope that's not a
I hope
hostage.
I hope that's not a hostage.
Like, huge climax of the movie, Hans Gruber falling, and then you get this, oh, I hope that's not a hostage. Oh, I love
Such a
that
dick
guy.
the whole movie, but has 2 of the best throwaway lines.
He really does.
one thing I didn't mention when we were talking about the drop actually is there's a video online of Alan Rickman talking about it, and it's so funny because he's talking about how, like, you know, they had this great idea. Well, let's just drop the actor, and he's like, they were very kind to make sure that was the final scene that I shot.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah, if this doesn't go right, at least we still got a movie. All right, so my quote was, I had a few that I wrote down all the quintessential ones because, you know, they're great. But the one that always made me laugh the most when I was a kid, and so I'm going to give it a shout out now. It's when he's, you know, everything's kind of gone to shit, and he's on the radio, and the guy's like, "I've got agents down here covered in glass." And glass? Who gives a shit about glass?
Who the fuck is this?
Put the other guy back on. It's just always made me
My
laugh.
favorite thing with that is because it's Dwayne T. Robinson. He's like, this is Deputy Chief of Police Dwayne T. Robinson. Like, he's gonna know who he is.
Yeah, like, I don't give a fuck. Give me back the other guy. Like, it's glass. Oh, it's so good.
I'm not the one who just got butt fucked on national TV, Dwayne.
Ooh, that's a good one. All right, Joel. what do you got?
That whole interaction is great.
Brilliant.
There's a dozen. Mine is not a spoken quote, but it is a quote. "Now I have a machine gun. Ho ho ho."
Ho ho ho!
It's a good one.
Well, it is spoken because like Hans Gruber says it. He goes,
Yeah, he
now
reads it.
I have a machine gun.
Yeah, but my quote isn't him saying it. My quote is it written on the body.
Okay,
that works. Man, it's a good movie. It's a really, really good movie. The rest of the franchise has some ups and downs. A lot of down.
I mean, what franchises don't have a lot of ups
I
and
would
downs,
say
to be fair?
2 ups, 2 downs.
2 ups.
I like.
It definitely has one.
I
Definitely.
I like Timothy Olyphant.
I really don't like.
I really like Timothy Olyphant in that movie. That movie, though, is...
It's rough.
Ooh.
You have Timothy Olyphant, Justin Long,
Kevin Smith, somewhere down there at the bottom.
I forgot he was.
Is he in that movie?
He's in that movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's,
Len Wiseman as the
does he
director,
speak?
not good.
Oh,
He
he
does.
speaks a lot.
He's
A
got
whole
some watchmen.
bunch.
You're
He
right.
speaks too much.
Things are coming back, Brian. Thank you. One up for sure. One so.
Yeah, there's a good one, and there's a really good one, and then there's the other 2. But we're gonna talk about the good one tomorrow or next week. In like 5 minutes for us, but like for you next week. I'm gonna do a very, very quick round of plugs. This show, every show at HH Network. Be sure to check out hhpod.com or YouTube, where we are hosting most of our things nowadays, including this, which is where you're probably watching it, unless you're listening to the stream. Which you do you. However you want to get us, that's fine. That's it. I'm done.
Super GG
I
Radio
said
Video
that-
Game Potch. Matt. Shh.
I started before you did.
No, you did not.
Then there's a delay.
This is one of the faint moments where my speech actually kept up with my thoughts a little bit. So thanks for railroading me on that too.
It's twice Matt's gotten us today.
So anyway, game recommendation: Ballionaire. Ballionaire. Yeah. Do you like Plinko from The Price is Right?
I do.
Ballionaire.
Okay. Okay. Ryan, Matt, anything to plug?
You can find me on the Front Row Network, where we are currently in award season coverage, so I'm doing a lot of stuff with that. Brian just saw Flow, said it was one of the best animated movies of the year, so
Phenomenal.
check that movie out. I am also now Team Demi. I really hope she paves the way for Best Actress. She will be the one that I am pulling for. Otherwise, you can catch me on Front Row Flashbacks. We just did Speed, which is a Jan de Bont movie, who is the director of photography in this movie. Check it out.
Speed is so good.
Speed's great. The entire reason that film
Movie got made is because of Die Hard.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but also that sequence at the beginning is in that office block in the elevator was because Jan de Bont's experience in Die Hard.
Yep.
But yeah,
So
I
good.
said this last year, I think. But science non-fiction, yay, it's gonna happen. Maybe like I keep putting in a plan to do things and then like don't actually do it. But we're gonna try and actually get back.
But this year you're gonna do it.
Yeah, this year we're gonna actually do it or not. One of the two.
Time will tell.
Yeah, if I'm back here next year saying the same shit, it will happen next year, and so on and so forth.
This might be your Dune, Matt. I don't know.
Joel would know.
Yeah, Joel would know.
He'd be able to smell it on you. Like,
I am dangerously close to finishing that book.
are you liking it? We're gonna end the podcast right there before he can answer.